I just landed back in Sweden after a wonderful trip to Armenia. This video tells my subjective experience of visiting this small but yet large nation. My wish is that some of my excitement and inspiration of this land and culture rubs off on you who watches this video, if only just a little bit. The capital, Yerevan, served as my hub during the trip. It's a city with about 1 million inhabitants, but it feels larger by population if you're walking in the streets. People are out and about all the time, bringing an energy to the city. The center is really energetic and bustling with life. If you like great restaurants and bars, you won't be disappointed in Yerevan. Standards are very high, I find, and everything downtown is in a walkable distance. Cars everywhere, maybe even too many actually for my liking. However, the car situation is like a great metaphor for Armenia, I find. Vehicles parked everywhere and little access to get through, and overly congested traffic during rush hour, but hey, they make it work. How do you manifest such a deep sorrow beyond comprehension? The architecture for the genocide memorial is sparse. There is no focal point except for a fire at the very center. This thoughtful choice of architecture will make the memorial stand the test of time, I think, making it something more eternal rather than some figurative elements. I found the place inviting me to further reflection. Sprung from a cold climate myself where the temperature drops in the evenings and not always pleasurable being outside later at night, I really enjoy how energetic and full of life the city is in the evenings. Fun fact, every evening, like clockwork, it gets windy in Yerevan. Don't know why, but it amuses me. It's so majestic in its simplicity, and the complex stands proud in a mountain alcove. This manifestation of faith is impressive. There's an energy surrounding the structures, not expressive, but inward bound. If you're looking for an Armenian culture, nature, history experience, this will fit the bill, I think. At least for me it did. I had to rub elbows with other tourists, but imagine being here at dusk or dawn with no one else around. I am in awe of the marvel that is Norabank. Heading north into Tavush province and the city of Dilijan, a lot changes. Everything suddenly turns green, temperature drops a bit and gives way to a more humid climate. From what I understand, Dilijan is a popular getaway for Armenians, and it's easy to see why. Not far from Yerevan, but everything is more chill. Hiking trails offer great viewpoints, and the fact that the city itself is sitting on the side of a mountain gives me a cozy feel. Walking around, you can tell that Dilijan is going through a transformation. All over you see renovations happening, and most likely 5 to 10 years from now, if you're going to Dilijan, you'll have a completely different experience. Not saying that the city will necessarily lose its identity, it'll just be different, that's for sure. Most of my traveling from point A to point B was made by using a minibus. not gonna lie, speeding down a highway in 200 kilometers an hour, making passes of other cars in curves with little to no field of vision, all of this while not wearing seatbelts, and by a very confident driver, took some time getting used to. I didn't find this one driver calling himself Michael Schumacher very reassuring, but hey, maybe that's just me. However, to distract myself all throughout going across this small country, nature always offered nice views, I found. A quick stop during our trip that made an impression on me was the Spandarian Reservoir. Of all the places I visited during my trip, the nature here was perhaps the furthest away from what I expected of Armenian landscape. Red mountains surrounded by dry desert or lush forest, yes, but these rolling hills reminded me more of northern Scandinavia. I see how this place could be nice to hike around in, but nonetheless also a peaceful spot for a quick breather. Tatev turned out to be the most southern point on my visit. I found the cable car a bit on the expensive side, however it did offer a memorable view of the valley down below. It was a memorable moment approaching the monastery from the air, and convenient as the complex was right there next to it. The buildings felt so robust, which to me echoed their 1,000-year-old history. The location is incredible, where the church on the hilltop is easy to spot from far away. This would serve as a fitting location for everything ranging from a Tarkovsky film to Lord of the Rings. I was on the fence going down to Tatev since it was more than a 4-hour drive, but for me it was worth it, especially with making stops at Noravank and the reservoir on the way down. You get spoiled by mountains. Less than an hour east of Yerevan lies Garni, which was a splendid choice for a day excursion. Symphony of Stone is an art installation sculptured by nature. Impressive walls that on a closer look something like taken out of Minecraft. A beautiful passage been made where you walk alongside the wall. Just a couple of stone throws away lies Garni Temple. And it's something else. It's always exciting to experience an old civilization. Being here in Garni with this ancient temple is a humbling experience, for lack of a better word, but how it's placed too makes its impact so much stronger. It's a striking experience being here. And as everywhere, there are also gems off the beaten path. Currently I'm at this resort in Eligis. It's a pretty simple concept really. What you have is a pool in the background and you have this spectacular view. Horvirap does very well on postcards, and it offers a really outstanding view of Mount Ararat if you're lucky with the weather. The fact that the ground leading up to it is all flat makes it even more striking. I've seen Mount Fuji, and if that's a more aesthetically pleasing shape, I personally find Ararat more powerful. Regarding the monastery itself, I was too busy playing with my drone and didn't learn much, but I heard that the complex in itself has an exciting story, so if you are visiting, maybe pay more attention than I did. Knowing very little of the origin story of these ruins, I try to fill in the blanks myself, trying to recreate this cathedral in my mind. A part of me desired to experience this monumental building in its prime. However, I think for me, in a way, it's even more impactful now. I'm not sure Svartnots is one of the go-to locations for foreign tourists coming to Armenia, but I had such a longing to visit it. My curiosity about visiting Armenia in the first place was of it being an old culture with a proud history sitting in a landscape larger than life. And at this place, at the foot of Mount Ararat, I can truly feel that. Armenia, for me, scratched that adventurous itch, and maybe it'll do the same for you. Thanks for watching.